Today, we are going to explore a really powerful lesson from the early 20th century. We're pulling this from the work of Genevieve Behrend and her incredible teacher, Thomas Troward. And it's all about the practical, very real power our words have to give our lives direction. Let's get into it. But first, let me ask you this. Have you ever been there? You've got a goal, you're fired up, you're making progress, but then the path forward gets a little foggy. The next steps aren't so clear. And just like that, all your momentum seems to vanish. Why does that happen? Well, it's a super common feeling, and it's the exact problem we're going to tackle today. So here's what we're going to cover. First, we'll dive into Genevieve Behrend's amazing story of persistence. Then, we're going to unpack the key principles she learned about using words to create a clear path forward. And finally, we'll walk through a really simple practice you can use to put this all into action, like right away. Okay, so our story begins with a woman named Genevieve Behrend, way back at the turn of the 20th century. Now, she had one single, unwavering goal, to become the only personal student of the great thinker Thomas Troward. The only problem? He wasn't taking any students. At all. And this is where her journey gets so fascinating. She wasn't just wishing and hoping. She faced formal, written rejections, setbacks that would make most of us quit. But internally, she held on to this absolute conviction. It's like in her mind, it was already a done deal. She lived with the feeling of being his student long before it ever happened. And that inner certainty, that sustained belief, eventually led to the reality. She became his one and only personal pupil. And here's the crucial takeaway from her story. Her success wasn't about pushing or forcing or trying to manipulate things on the outside. Not at all. It was about achieving this really clear, focused inner state. She cultivated an unwavering belief that just wasn't shaken by what was happening around her. So this whole experience brought her to the core lessons she learned directly from Troward. And it's all about the true power of what he called the word. Now, when Troward uses the term the word, he's not just talking about saying things out loud. It's a much deeper concept. Think of it like a container for your mental energy. You know all those vague possibilities floating around in your head? The word is what takes one of those fuzzy ideas and gives it a specific, concrete shape. It's the tool that turns a maybe I could into a firm, this is what I'm doing. And this leads us to the most powerful metaphor for this whole idea. The word you choose, that inner statement you commit to, it acts like a conceptual rudder for your mind. Think about it. A tiny rudder can steer a massive ship. In the same way, your chosen internal word steers your most valuable assets, your attention, and as a result, your actions. Whatever you point that inner word towards is where your focus goes. And what you focus on, well, that's what you do. It gives you a single, clear direction with no mixed signals. Okay, I know what you might be thinking. This all sounds a little abstract, right? A bit out there. But let's bring this right down to earth and connect it to some very practical modern psychology. Because this isn't about magic. This is about a deliberate, structured way of thinking. Troward's idea of a word giving form to a thought, it actually lines up perfectly with concepts in modern psychology. We can think of it as a form of really disciplined self-talk. Even more specifically, it's like what researchers call implementation intentions. These are just simple if-then plans you make for yourself. Like if I start feeling overwhelmed, then I will take one deep breath and look at just one task. It's a pre-made decision that helps you cut through the noise when you need it most. So what we're really talking about here is cognitive architecture. I love that term. It's the idea that you can consciously design and build your inner world. You're not just letting your thoughts drift wherever they want. No, you are deliberately choosing the foundational thought that's going to guide your focus and your actions. For Genevieve Behrend, this took the shape of a specific statement she would use. Whenever she felt doubt or fear creeping in, she would come back to this phrase. It was her anchor. It was her point of inner authority that just recentered her, shifting her from a place of searching for an answer to operating from a place of knowing. All right, let's get practical. Let's turn all this theory into a simple tool you can start using today. We're going to call it the word-to-state reset. It's a quick way to make that inner pivot, to consciously interrupt a negative thought loop before it really gets going. It's just 3 easy steps. Okay, step 1, just acknowledge what you're feeling right now. No judgment. Are you feeling frustrated, overwhelmed? Just name it. Step 2, choose your pivot word. This is your rudder, a single word or short phrase that represents the state you want to shift into. And step 3, state it. Declare it as your new center of operation.
So let's see how this plays out. Imagine you're at work, staring at a giant to-do list. The feeling hits. This is so overwhelming. Okay, step 1, acknowledge it. Now, step 2, what's your pivot? Maybe it's focused. So step 3, your new center of operation becomes, I am capable and focused. See? You're not pretending the overwhelm isn't there. You're just choosing where to steer your mind next.
Or how about in a relationship? Someone says something, and the immediate feeling is, they are so frustrating. Okay, acknowledge it, don't fight it. Then choose your pivot. What's the opposite? Maybe your new center becomes, I choose understanding. That tiny internal shift can completely change the dynamic, and it starts with you. And this is a big one for building habits, right? It's time to go to the gym or work on that project, and that voice says, ugh, I don't feel like it. That's the default state. Acknowledge the resistance. Then state your rudder. I am consistent. You're defining yourself by the person you want to be, not by the temporary feeling that's trying to hold you back. So as we start to wind down, let's just do a quick recap of the most important points from this whole idea. First off, Behrend's story is the perfect example of how inner certainty can actually come before the outer result. Second, remember that your word, that internal statement, is the rudder for your attention. Third, this isn't some mystical idea. It's what modern psychology calls cognitive architecture. And finally, you have a tool, the word-to-state reset, that lets you pivot your focus whenever you need to, because ultimately, your words direct your inner world. And that brings us to one final thought for you. As you look at the week ahead, what's one challenge you might face? And more importantly, what is the one word, the one rudder you're going to choose to steer yourself through it? The power to choose your direction is already yours. I'm excited to see you for episode 11. And of course, if you want to catch up, the full series playlist has everything we've covered so far. Now, what direction will you choose?